At Barcelona, dribbling isn't just a skill, it's a statement, a challenge, a kind of football that says, try and stop me. And when you mix that mindset with some of the most gifted players in football history, it gets unfair for everyone else. And today we're counting down the 10 best Barcelona dribblers of all time.
Thiago Motta despejó Sergio, balón que controla Ronaldinho, qué bonito Ronaldinho, qué bonito Ronaldinho.
Not just flair, but control, chaos, and cold-blooded disrespect. From balletic feints to ruthless nutmegs, these players didn't just play for Barcelona, they rewrote what dribbling could even be. Barcelona gave us some of the most insane dribblers football has ever seen. Messi, Ronaldinho, Neymar. But what if I told you some of the greatest came even before them? And still there is no limit to this talent. This is the story of Barcelona legends and dribbling kings, and how their style is not just beautiful, it was, and still is, borderline cruel. So let's get into it. Number 10. Ousmane Dembele, the chaos nobody could prepare for. Right foot, left foot. Even Dembele didn't know until the last second. He wasn't just unpredictable, he was pure chaos in motion. One of the few players in world football who's genuinely ambidextrous. Defenders had no idea where he was going, and the scariest part, neither did he. At his peak in Barcelona, he felt like a glitch in the system. One moment he's stretching the pitch wide, hugging the touchline. The next, he's slicing through the middle, nutmegging you with his so-called weaker foot, which, let's be honest, didn't really exist. But the thing that made him really different wasn't just his skill, it was the instability. He didn't dribble like a polished La Masia graduate. He dribbled like someone who uploaded street football into the Barça mainframe and just hit run. He had flaws, injuries slowed him down, heavy touches showed up. There were games where it felt like the ball was fighting against him, but when it clicked, it was mayhem. Like that Champions League night against Tottenham. He picked up the ball near halfway, dropped a defender with one fake, exploded down the wing and chopped inside, then rifled a rocket into the top corner.
Barcelona lead, solo goal, have a blow for Tottenham.
Or December 2018 against Sevilla. Dembele picked up the ball near the edge of the box, twisted through 3 defenders in the tightest of spaces, and finished with that classic curling strike. It was the kind of goal that showed why people call him two-footed chaos, because you genuinely can't tell which side he'll shoot or dribble from.
The game winner and the Spanish Super Cup winner.
Still, Dembele makes crowds gasp, not just for what he does, but because no one, not even the camera crew, guesses the next move. He never became the next Neymar, but for pure 1v1 electricity, he is unplayable. And yet, before players like Dembele lit up the wings, there was someone else. Slower, stranger, but somehow just as dangerous. Number 9 is Giovanni Silva de Oliveira, Ronaldinho before Ronaldinho. Before Ronaldinho made the Camp Nou dance, Giovanni made it dizzy. He only played 2 seasons at Barcelona, but it was enough to leave a mark that most people forgot and probably shouldn't have. Giovanni dribbled like he was in on a secret. Every move looked slow until it wasn't. He'd lull defenders into a false sense of safety, then hit a shimmy so sharp it left them blinking at the empty space he just escaped from. He wasn't flashy for the sake of it. He was dubious, awkward, and very Brazilian. You'd think he was losing control of the ball, but then somehow use that exact messiness to roll past 3 defenders. In an era still obsessed with structure and roles, Giovanni broke patterns. He didn't play like a number 10 or a winger. He played like he was trying to entertain a street crowd that didn't exist, and when it worked, it was hypnotic. Even Rivaldo once said Giovanni had more natural talent than most players he'd seen. He never became a global icon. He didn't have the discipline, the media love, or the highlight reel. But if you were watching La Liga in the late 90s, you saw something wild, a prototype. Because everything Ronaldinho did later, Giovanni tried it first. Number 8 is Giorgi Hagi. And wait up, because things are about to get ruthless. Some players dribble past you, but Hagi, he dribbled through your soul. If Giovanni looked like madness disguised as dribbling, Hagi was pure ruthlessness. He didn't dance around defenders, he cut them apart. Left foot like a blade, body feints so sharp that they looked rehearsed. Hagi didn't need flashy moves to break you. He read defenders like open books. One glance, one twitch, and he already knew where you'd lean. And when he did go past you, it felt surgical, like he'd already mapped your next 2 movements.
Beginning time para Hagi, situación correcta y gol! Golazo de Hagi!
There's one moment that lives in highlight reels. It was El Clasico, 1994. Hagi picked up the ball near the touchline, feinted inside, then outside, dragging 2 Madrid players into each other like cartoon characters, before curling a cross that left jaws on the floor. Havoc, precision, disrespect. All in just 6 seconds. Can you believe this? He only spent 2 seasons at Barcelona in the early 90s, a chaotic era for the club, but even in that short window, he left a trail of broken ankles and confused goalkeepers. His left foot was a wand, his body movements were violent poetry, and his vision made him look like he was playing in slow motion. At Galatasaray in the late 90s, he became a legend. Fans called him the Commander. He wasn't tall, he wasn't fast, but the way he carried the ball, it was something else. Hips swiveling, defenders leaning the wrong way, it looked like raw Balkan flair smuggled onto the Champions League stage. But while Hagi left defenders in a trance, the next guy left them spinning, sometimes without even touching the ball. Number 7 is Rivaldo, the angular genius. Rivaldo didn't dribble around you, he bent space until it made room for him. Tall, lean, almost awkward at first glance, he moved like someone who never read the manual on how dribbling was supposed to work, and that's exactly why it worked. No circus stepovers, no street flick exhibitions. What he carried instead was balance, timing, and one of the most ruthless left feet football has ever known. Take the Champions League in 2000 against AC Milan. Rivaldo collected the ball wide, faked a simple pass, then slipped between 2 defenders like smoke. One stride later, he rocketed a strike from the corner of the box. Even off balance and off angle, it was still off the charts.
De Sergi por la izquierda, coge Sergi, le regatea fenomenal. Y el centro, mira, levanta la cabeza, mira. Y perfecto, donde no llega ni el portero.
That wasn't luck. That was geometry, rewritten in real time. Or rewind to June 2001, Barcelona versus Valencia. Rivaldo didn't just score a hat-trick, he dismantled a season. He dribbled through challenges and curled screamers into the net. Then he finished it all off with that overhead kick. Not a party trick, not a highlight stunt, it was survival. A one-man campaign that dragged Barça into the Champions League. When Rivaldo moved, it always seemed like he might stumble, like his balance was about to give out. Then, out of nowhere, he smashed a shot into the top corner from an impossible angle. That was his way of reminding everyone he was never out of control. His dribbling came with purpose. Every feint was a setup, every slow touch was a trap. And if Rivaldo bent physics to his will, the next man bent defenders until they broke, and smiled while doing it. Number 6 is Neymar Jr., the showman who turned humiliation into performance art. From the moment he stepped onto the Camp Nou pitch, everyone knew something was different. He didn't just want to beat defenders, he wanted them to feel it. Where others looked for space, Neymar looked for victims. A pause, a shoulder drop, and suddenly the ball was sliding through legs or vanishing in a blur of movement. He didn't rely on volume, he relied on moments. Moments that stuck. The internet did too. Or the Champions League versus PSG 2017, when everything was collapsing, Neymar took control, slaloming through bodies, slicing open a rigid defense, pulling off nutmegs under pressure like the laws of football physics didn't apply. He dribbled like it was personal. He'd stand still with one foot on the ball, staring you down, daring you to move first. And when you did, too late. He was already gone, leaving studs, prides, and reputations behind. At Barcelona, he wasn't just a winger. He was a weapon. In that iconic front three with Messi and Suarez, he was the chaos agent, the one who'd try the ridiculous and make it work. Sometimes even rival fans couldn't help but clap. But all that flash came with fury. Neymar got kicked, shoved, hacked down, not because he played dirty, but because defenders couldn't handle the humiliation. Alright, admit it. You're grinning watching these dribble skills. If you want more Barça magic, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more stories that'll take you right back to the Camp Nou. Number 5 is Andrés Iniesta, the quietest dribbler who ever broke your heart. Some dribblers rattled cages. Iniesta didn't need noise. He moved in whispers and still left chaos behind. There were no circus step-overs, no rainbow flicks, no highlight-chasing tricks, yet Andrés Iniesta might have been the most untouchable dribbler Barcelona ever made. He didn't bulldoze through defenders. He slipped past them, like wind sneaking through a crack in the wall. A feint with the shoulder, a half-turn pivot, a glide into space, and suddenly 3 markers were pointing at each other, wondering who lost him. Pep Guardiola put it best. Tito Villanova used to say, Andrés doesn't run, he glides, like an ice hockey player without skates. Swish! And once he glided, opponents vanished. Barcelona describes him as a master of space and time. He ghosted through pressure, especially when the pitch was boiling. Stamford Bridge, 2009. Then El Clasico in the Bernabeu. Iniesta didn't dribble for applause. He dribbled to breathe and just to keep Barcelona alive. His control in tight pockets was absurd. In La Liga, he once averaged over 90% passing under pressure while carrying the ball more than any midfielder in Europe. Every touch had meaning. Every swivel had weight, and when he finally did score, like the extra-time winner in the World Cup final, it was as if a whisper had just shaken the planet. Do you think it is the best? Wait until you see who made the top 3. Even Messi admitted he studied this man's dribbles. Number 4 is Ansu Fati, the teenager who brought chaos back to the Camp Nou. Teenagers aren't meant to carry It was Osasuna 2019. On his debut, it took him only 7 minutes to rise above defenders and nod home a perfect header. No hesitation, just instinct. 1 week later, against Valencia, he didn't just score, he scored and assisted in the opening 7 minutes.
He came off the bench and scored in 6 minutes.
Frankie de Jong called him different, and Ernesto Valverde said he has something special. He doesn't play like a kid. And he proved it. His dribbling isn't about highlight reels, it's about breaking lines. Fati's style isn't polished like Messi's or theatrical like Neymar's. It is direct, brutal, no wasted motion. He doesn't dance around defenders. He slices through the space before they even see it. Injuries keep trying to slow him down. But every time the ball rolls his way, the stadium leans forward. It feels like something dangerous is about to happen. He's not just the future. For a broken Barcelona, he was the reminder of what's possible. Number 3 is Ronaldinho, football's last true magician. When you see him playing, you will notice one thing. When the ball reached Ronaldinho's feet, it was no longer leather and stitches. It became a brush, and the pitch, his canvas. Every touch painted something no one had ever seen before. He made Nutmegs feel like handshakes. He turned impossible angles into routine passes. Sometimes he didn't even need to move. Just a smile, a shoulder drop, and the defender was gone. You remember Chelsea in 2005? When he toe-poked through a wall of defenders, standing still, no space, and still scored. Or when he twisted past multiple Milan players in the Champions League, leaving them spinning. These weren't tricks for the cameras, they were match-winning weapons. It was November 19th, 2005, El Clasico. Ronaldo tore through Madrid's defense so effortlessly that by the 77th minute, the entire stadium rose to give him a standing ovation. That night at the Bernabeu, when even Real Madrid fans stood and applauded, that wasn't football, that was theatre. Ronaldinho once admitted he played every game with one rule: never stop smiling. Even teammates said they could hear him laughing on the pitch while defenders tried to foul him. When he became the first player ever to get a Nike video on YouTube to hit 1 million views, it wasn't for a goal or a trophy. It was just him juggling a ball and hitting the crossbar over and over with that same cheeky grin. But where Ronaldinho danced, the next man walked through fire and never flinched. Number 2 is Lionel Messi, the dribbler from another dimension. They knew exactly what he was going to do, but they couldn't stop it. No trick, no flash, no deception. Just a ball and a left foot, the most unstoppable pattern in football history. Messi didn't dribble like an average Joe, he dribbled like a mathematician calculating angles. Not raw speed, but control. The ball stuck to his foot like it belonged there. 5 defenders in front of him, it didn't matter. Think of Getafe in 2007, weaving from his own half, past tackle after
Here, brilliant from Messi. Oh, what a goal that is!
Or Bayern in 2015, Jerome Boateng falling to the turf as Messi's shift of balance sent him crashing down. Or the countless Clásicos, where he danced through Madrid's back line like it was a training drill. He made dribbling feel inevitable, like water carving through rock. Slow at first, then unstoppable. If Ronaldinho turned football into theatre, Messi turned it into physics. Cold, calculated, and yet still otherworldly. But if Messi was divine, the next man was something else entirely. He didn't just play by the rules, he was the reason they were written. Yes, you guessed it right. We are talking about Diego Maradona, the origin of it all. Before Messi, before Ronaldinho, there was Maradona. He only played 2 seasons at Barcelona, but what he did in those 2 seasons was unreal. The ball clung to him like static. Defenders hacked, grabbed, shoved. It didn't matter at all. He'd spin out of trouble, change direction mid-sprint, and leave 3 markers sliding into nothing. He didn't dribble with flair or elegance. He dribbled with violence. Every feint felt like a punch. Every turn left bodies on the floor. Think back to the Copa del Rey final in 1983 against Athletic Bilbao. Maradona at full speed, bouncing off tackles that could have snapped other players in half. He didn't just dribble, he bulldozed with grace. And then there's Mexico '86. Not the hand of God, the other one. The one where he picked up the ball in his own half, shrugged off half of England's squad, and made world-class defenders look like traffic cones before sliding it into the net. His dribbling was raw, chaotic power disguised as balance. Stadiums didn't just cheer, they gasped. Messi may have refined it, Ronaldinho may have dressed it in samba, but Maradona invented it. From the muddles, from the street, from an era where ankles didn't survive and referees looked the other way. He wasn't a product of the system, he was the glitch. Now you know the big names, but what about the ones who slipped through the cracks? But trust me, they were something. Let's give you a hint towards a few. Emmanuel Amunike. Before injuries slowed him down, the Nigerian winger was pure chaos. Blistering pace, fearless dribbles, and that swagger defenders just couldn't solve in La Liga. Ludovic Juli. He was small, sharp, and slippery. Don't smile, because yes, he was. A live wire who'd cut inside, disappear between tackles, and leave defenders fouling shadows. Elish Moriba. For a moment, it felt like Barça had struck gold. A teenager walking into midfield like he owned it. He even scored a rocket against Osasuna in 2021 that had people calling him the next big thing. Contract drama and a move to Leipzig stalled that rise, but he's still only 21. The tools are there. The question is whether he finds the right stage to put them together. Christian Theo. Predictable, sure, but when your one move is torching a fullback down the line, cutting inside and letting it rip, yeah, predictable still hurts. Want a full deep dive on Barca's forgotten dribblers? The cult heroes, the almost legends? Drop it in the comments, because football isn't only about icons. It's about the sparks, the ones who lit up the pitch for a moment, then faded away. Did we nail it, or did we miss your favourite wildcard? Drop your take below, and if you're riding with us through Barca's hidden history, smash that like, subscribe, and buckle up. The real madness is still to come.